coverage you can count on. KOAT Action 7 News at 5 starts right now. We begin with breaking news.
At breaking news, at least 2 people were rescued after they were buried by an avalanche at Taos Ski Valley. It happened off Kachina Peak.
We have a team following this. Let's start with Sasha Leninger, who just flew over the scene. Sasha.
Well, we do know that 2 people are injured after avalanche in Taos at the Ski Valley here. We're told it happened around 11:30 on Kachina Peak. Ski patrol and witnesses were in the area and immediately responded to that avalanche. We're told both skiers were buried in the snow there. The Ski Valley also saying that they did get medical attention and were taken to local hospitals here. Right now, their condition is unknown, but from Sky 7, we could see ski patrol lining the avalanche site. They're going down with their poles, clearing that area. Luckily, there are no other victims. From the air as well, we did see that the resort is open. Skiers and snowboarders are using other slopes at the ski resort. We were told that avalanche mitigation work has been taking place all throughout the season, as recently also as of this morning. So as soon as we get more information on this avalanche here, we will be sure to let you know. At Taos Ski Valley, I'm Sasha Leninger, KOAT Action 7 News.
Thank you, Sasha. And for the first time, we are hearing from some witnesses who were on the mountain. Here's Nancy Laughlin.
You all, I just spoke to former Governor Gary Johnson. He was up on the mountain and helped with that rescue. Tonight he was in tears. He says the men that were trapped were both given CPR, that they were trapped in snow that was more like concrete. We also spoke to 2 women who had just gotten to the ski area when they saw the rescue crews rushing to the mountain. They said they could see the path of the avalanche took down the mountain, and it was very narrow until the very end where it was spread out. That's where they say the rescue was focused. They watched as ambulances and medical helicopters got to the ski area, waiting for people to be pulled out of the snow.
When we got in view, they had already started a line of people probing. They had a couple
They were
dogs out
shoveling already.
I think as we were watching, it looked like they might have dug someone out, but I don't know if that's actually the case.
Okay, the 2 watched and said the crews searching for survivors had a very systematic way of finding survivors. Now, again, former Governor Gary Johnson says people stood shoulder to shoulder with 10-foot poles digging in the snow looking for anyone trapped. He says that both men were given CPR. I've interviewed him many times over the years, and this is probably the most emotional I've ever heard him. He was very upset, and he said it was a very, very grim situation. Back to you all.
Yeah, understandable to see that in person. Well, we've learned 2 people were hurt in the avalanche. We know one of them was taken to UNM Hospital. Marissa Armas is there live for us. Marissa?
Well, as you said, Shelley, one of the 2 men who was rescued was taken here to UNMH. He was airlifted and is currently in critical condition. That other man was taken to Holy Cross Hospital. We don't know his condition right now. Now, a spokesperson with UNMH tells me that when events like this happen, it's very typical for them to bring patients here because this is the only level 1 trauma center in the state. They also tell me that they have a team of emergency medical crew that specializes in mountain conditions. So if a hiker breaks their leg, if there's a bus crash, or an event like what we saw today, they have a team that is ready and prepared to help with any of those situations. Reporting live in Albuquerque, Marissa Armas, KOAT Action 7 News.
Thank you, Marissa. Action 7 News reporter Kata Mush continues our team coverage right now. She explains why avalanches on this part of the mountain are rare. Kay.
Experts say avalanches on the Kachina Peak are so rare because the mountain is closely monitored for skiers and snowboarders using it. George Brooks with Ski New Mexico says the area is checked by ski patrol on a daily basis. Before the resort opens, patrol goes around and looks for potential areas where snow has built up. If they find any loose, then they do things like fracture the snow by stepping on it. Sometimes if they do find a potential spot of avalanche, they'll use a cannon to throw explosives so it triggers a controlled avalanche with no one around it. But it's not clear why or how today's avalanche formed.
You have more avalanches in the outback, so you have your perimeter of where the ski area is, where people normally ski, and then someone skis out of bounds and go behind that, off the trail. That's usually where you have avalanches because that's not a controlled area.
Now, though avalanches are rare, there have been some in the past, but Brooks says it's highly unlikely that a second avalanche will form on Kachina Peak. Katie Marsh, KOAT, Action 7 News.
And our team is continuing to learn more about this avalanche. Coming up in about 12 minutes, we take a look at past avalanches that have happened in New Mexico.
Well, it's been a quiet day in the metro, but we're just a few hours away from rain and snow and wind. Here's Chief Meteorologist Joe Diaz.
You got that right, Roll. First of all, winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings kick in tonight through tomorrow for blowing snow and difficult travel. The warnings in effect, Chama, the mountains around Chama, and the mountains outside of Durango. There you can see the amounts. They're going to pick up the biggest amounts of snow, and then you can see lesser amounts around the town of Durango, Los Alamos, on into Cuba, and areas between River on into Angel Fire. Then you know what? For much of us, the winds are going to crank up like in the morning, really in the afternoon, and it's going to be on into the first part of the evening. First of all, Albuquerque on into the Four Corners, this area in the yellow wind advisories, gusting up to 50-55 miles an hour. And that could be happening by the noon to mid-afternoon hours, certainly. Then from Camado, East Mountains down into Roswell and Tucumcari, this whole area under a high wind warning. In addition to the dangerous crosswinds gusting up to 65 miles an hour, there could be some power outages from power lines being blown over. Tracking the rain and snow, you see it around Durango this evening, spreading tonight around midnight, Durango on into Chama. Rain-snow mixes around Santa Fe and Albuquerque, but boy, from mid-morning through the afternoon, the story will be the wind.
Day 27 of the government shutdown. President Trump is pulling the plug on Speaker Nancy Pelosi's secret overseas trip, which involved a stop in Afghanistan and the use of military aircraft. Aixa Diaz is in Washington with what the president is saying.
Shelley, President Trump says as long as the shutdown is going on, Speaker Pelosi should stay in Washington. This comes one day after she asked him to postpone the State of the Union address.
After Speaker Nancy Pelosi sent President Trump a letter asking him to postpone the State of the Union address, the president sends a letter back telling the speaker he's rescheduling her overseas trip. Writing, quote, "In light of the 800,000 great American workers not receiving pay, I am sure you would agree that postponing this public relations event is totally appropriate." The Speaker's office says the purpose of the trip was to visit U.S. troops in Afghanistan, with a stop in Brussels to meet with NATO allies.
A wall has to be built. We need security at our southern border.
The dueling letters come amid the president's fight with Democrats over a proposed border wall. The stalemate has led to the nation's longest government shutdown in history. The Speaker says with so many federal workers furloughed or working without pay, the January 29th address should be moved for security reasons. The Homeland Security Secretary pushed back, tweeting, "The Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Secret Service are fully prepared to support and secure the State of the Union."
And as the secretary of any agency, that person should be advocating for her employees to be paid instead of saying it's okay for them to work without pay.
Some lawmakers are criticizing both the president and the speaker. Senator Lindsey Graham says the speaker is playing politics and calls the president's trip cancellation inappropriate. In Washington, Aixa Diaz, KOAT, Action 7 News.
President Trump's letter today did not directly respond to Speaker Pelosi's request to delay the State of the Union address.
Well, right now, our state's national parks and monuments are closed because of the shutdown. Some of the communities that surround the federal parks are suffering because they are losing tourism dollars. During the 2013 government shutdown, our state's national monuments lost an average of more than 3,000 visitors, and nearby communities lost nearly 150,000 in visitor spending that year. The tourism department says that this year's impacts could be even worse. We are continuing to follow the shutdown and how it is impacting you. If you're a furloughed worker, we want to hear your story. Please reach out to us on our website or Facebook page.
Right now, California is getting slammed by a powerful storm that's bringing torrential rain and heavy snow. As ABC's Marcy Gonzalez tells us, mudslides and the risk of more are prompting mandatory evacuations.
A fourth straight day of downpours in California, flooding this RV park, sending rocks and boulders toppling onto roadways, destroying this car in Malibu, sending the driver to the hospital. And now concern more hillsides scorched by recent wildfires could crumble and create more dangerous mudslides. Thousands of people forced to evacuate as a precaution.
I'm scared too. I'm not going to pretend I'm not.
Flash flood warnings in effect.
It's insane over here. I was tripping, slipping,
slipping everywhere. It's all mud.
With rivers rising and streets inundated with water.
I've lived here since 1982. It's never done this.
In Northern California, one person killed by a falling tree in Oakland, and more than 24 vehicles crashing in foggy conditions on this freeway, injuring 30 people. The storm also creating whiteout conditions. This plane in Tahoe stuck, and on Big Bear Mountain, thunder snow with 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts. The snow there and the rain here expected to clear by tomorrow, with these storms now making their way east. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The Trump administration says it doesn't know how many children have been separated from their families at the southern border. That's according to a new report from the Inspector General of the Department of Health and Human Services. It says more children have been separated from loved ones than the more than 2,000 previously reported, but officials don't know the exact number. The report also said the department has run into, quote, significant challenges when it comes to identifying children who were separated, and that's why they don't know exactly how many children are involved.
LA teachers have been on strike now for 4 days. Today, the teachers union and the school district met for negotiations again. 30,000 educators walked off the job this week, demanding smaller class sizes, more school staffing, and higher teacher salaries. The president of the union says it's important for teachers to hold the line.
We've got, professional negotiators who have worked on, 100 different contracts and contract campaigns. We have a great team. They are resolute on reaching an agreement that we and our parents and our students and the national audience that are watching us can be proud of.
The district has lost $69 million and counting during the strike. Funding is based on daily attendance, and many students have been staying home during the strike. A middle schooler was suspended after buying his lunch with fake money. His parents say they had no idea the $20 bill was counterfeit. But when the Georgia boy gave the lunch lady the money, she marked it with a counterfeit pen, and it turned out to be fake. That's when the boy was suspended.
I was confused on how the money was counterfeit and how my parent received it.
Me not knowing when I counted my money, knowing that it was counterfeit, and there was no way when I gave my son the money that he knew it was counterfeit.
The family filed a police report about unknowingly getting the counterfeit bill, but the school is sticking by its decision.
One state is trying to take down a major opioid producer, while some say the company pushed the sale of the drug even though it knew the dangers.
Plus, how does screen time impact your kids? We'll explain in tonight's Health Beat.
And coming up all new on Action 7 News, there's a new restaurant opening up on the west side. What type of food you can grab tonight at 6.
All right, we do have some big slowdowns across the river crossings on the west side of town. Look at this big stretch of red. It goes from Coors all the way to almost Interstate 25. Slow travel there, slow at Paseo, slow approaching the river on Montano. So check out these drive times. Interstate 25 to Coors, Alameda, taking you 21 minutes. So slow going there. 13 for Paseo, Montano 17 minutes. Now we have some rough weather to get through tomorrow and more over the weekend. We'll talk about that coming up.
This is KOAT Action 7 News. We begin with breaking news.
We continue to follow that breaking story out of the Taos Ski Valley. At least 2 people were buried in an avalanche off of Kachina Peak. It happened right before noon. Now, these pictures are from the Taos News. One victim is in critical condition. We do not know about the other person. Crews have cleared the scene and do not believe anyone else was buried. Well, as soon as we heard about that avalanche, Target 7 quickly started to go through the history of avalanches in New Mexico.
There have been several, even some that turned deadly. Target 7 Shelley Leggett has been looking at that information for you tonight, and she joins us with more.
The last recorded avalanche in New Mexico happened more than 20 years ago. In 1996, a 38-year-old man was in the backcountry near Taos Ski Valley when he was buried in 3 feet of snow. Another avalanche in 1973 killed a 17-year-old skiing near the Taos Ski Valley away from the main trails. The Colorado Avalanche Information Center has been keeping track of avalanches in the area since 1998. There have been nearly 500 reported avalanches in the United States. 550 people have died as a result. in 1996 was the last reported major avalanche in New Mexico before today. And so far this year, there have been 3 people killed in 3 avalanches in the country. For Target 7, I'm Shelley Leggett.
Thank you, Shelley. This is a developing story. As soon as we find out new information, we'll update you online. We'll also continue our team coverage tonight at 6.
A lawsuit is taking on the powerful opioid OxyContin and the family that owns the company producing it.
Well, the state of Massachusetts is suing, accusing them of misleading the public about the dangers. ABC's Whit Johnson has tonight's State of Addiction.
The complaint alleges certain members of the Sackler family, who are worth $13 billion, were aware of the dangers of OxyContin but continued to push sales. According to newly filed court documents, when OxyContin was first released, Richard Sackler, Purdue's former president and son of the company founder, is quoted saying at a company event that the launch would be followed by a blizzard of prescriptions. The complaint also says years later, as evidence of widespread abuse of OxyContin began to mount, Sackler urged the company to blame addicts, allegedly writing in an email, "We have to hammer on the abusers in every way possible. They are the culprits and the problem. They are reckless criminals." Purdue Pharma telling ABC News the Attorney General has cherry-picked from among tens of millions of emails and other business documents produced by Purdue. The complaint is littered with biased and inaccurate characterizations of these documents. Purdue and the individual defendants will aggressively defend against these misleading allegations.
Well, that was Whit Johnson reporting. The company and family that owns it are also facing dozens of other lawsuits across the country.
There will not be an honorary scholarship given out by the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Multicultural Council this year. The organization is taking a one-year break so it can switch to an online system for high schoolers to apply. But according to our partners at the Journal, the Grant Chapel AME Church off Candelaria in Pennsylvania will award the 11 scholarships instead. The recipients will be announced at its annual MLK commemorative breakfast on Monday.
1 hamburger a week. That's how much red meat people should be eating, and I think I can live with that. That is according to a new report from EAT, a nonprofit seeking to improve people's diets. The study says 1 hamburger a week is good for our health and the planet. Researchers say the study was based off of previous published studies.
Are your teenagers constantly on their phones? Do you try to calm your toddlers with a video on iPads? In today's Health Beat, Meredith Wood breaks down how much harm, if any, that it's doing.
Is there such a thing as too much screen time for children? According to guidance from the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health, there's little evidence to prove that. The report out of the UK says it's impossible to recommend age-appropriate time limits. This flies in the face of guidance from other organizations. The American Academy of Pediatrics advises against any screen time for children younger than 18 months and only 1 hour per day for children ages 2 to 5. The American Heart Association reported in 2017 that screen time could even contribute to future heart disease. But experts at the Royal College say there is no direct evidence to suggest a toxic link between screen time and heart disease, obesity, and other health issues. The report did find that screen time could have a negative impact on sleep patterns and mental health, and encourages parents to set limits for their children, including not letting kids use tablets or other devices an hour before bedtime. I'm Meredith Wood.
And an important recall to tell you about tonight. RX Bar is recalling some of its protein bars. Now, the bars may contain peanuts not listed in the ingredients. If allergic, eating peanuts could trigger a life-threatening reaction. Affected bars do contain a warning on the wrapper indicating they were made in a facility that also processes peanuts. A full list of which RX bars are being recalled is available on both the company's website and the FDA website.
With the Year of the Pig just around the corner, a museum is getting very popular. We'll show you which you can check out inside.
And coming up on Action 7 News Live at 6, several New Mexico cities are the top places to film movies. We'll tell you which ones they are and why they got the ranking.
Tonight on KOAT at 7, an all-new Grey's Anatomy. Then A Million Little Things comes on at 8, followed by How to Get Away with Murder. Then don't miss Action 7 News live at 10.
And some breaking news. 2 people buried in an avalanche at Taos Ski Valley. It happened just before noon on Kachina Peak. The ski patrol was nearby when it happened and got there fast. Taos's avalanche rescue dog team also helped find the buried. Sky 7 flew over the mountain just about a few hours ago. Officials tell us one of the people pulled from the snow is in critical condition. We don't know about the other victim, but we do know they were taken to Holy Cross Hospital. Stay with KOAT. We'll continue to update you as we learn more.
We could see some wind, rain, and snow hit parts of the state. Here's Joe to show us where.
Yeah, quite a turnaround from the very comfortable January day today. We topped off at 54 degrees, but hour by hour, it's really going to be changing. Look at your planner tomorrow. We're going to wake up in the morning with some rain, snow mixes to work around for the first half of the day. Then from mid-morning through the afternoon, those winds will be reaching a peak and finally start to taper off as we get to the evening hours. Check out the snow. This is the evening, primarily around Durango on into Chama. There's a look around midnight, but as we get into the first part of the day tomorrow, this is the morning. Rain, snow mixes, the accumulations, as we showed you earlier, primarily to the north, and this thing wraps up. Then it's all about the wind. Here's the morning wind around 7 o'clock. We get to the noon hour. It's already coming up out of the northwest. Be careful on those northwest crosswinds, as on those north roads as you travel up Interstate 25, and it starts to taper off as you're getting off work. But you know what? It's going to be an uncomfortable start to your evening. So that yellow alert means it's an impact day for weather. So be alert. Temperatures in the 30s, 40s, 50s with strong winds and blowing dust throughout the southern part of the state. Saturday, guess what? Sunshine, cold in the morning, decent in the afternoon. Sunshine on Sunday. High clouds, though, start to thicken late in the day into the evening hours. We hope that won't interrupt the total eclipse of the moon. And then another impact day for your Monday. Check it out. 52 degrees, but these are the wind gusts. 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts, maybe even a little bit stronger across the higher terrain will be in play. So we'll update you on that day by day. Then we get on into Tuesday. It's cold with snow showers passing to the north of the area and starting to rebound Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay, thank you, Joe. As the Year of the Pig gets closer, a pig museum in South Korea is getting more popular. The Year of the Pig starts next month. The museum consists of a variety of things for people to check out. There is a pig performance and an art gallery. People can also have close contact with the animals. The art gallery displays more than 7,000 pieces of artwork from 23 countries.
Our 6th annual Kids Learn to Ski and Snowboard program is in full swing. KOAT is partnering with resorts around the state for Learn and Winter Sport Month. The price is $50 for the day for kids 6 to 12 years old. They get a lesson, a lift ticket, and equipment rentals. Reservations are required.
We love seeing your photos on our U Local page. Just look at this shot that our viewer Raina captured for us.
Absolutely beautiful. Right after the break, we're going to have some other cool pics to show you.
Well, this shot of the Sandias should really be put in a frame. It is gorgeous. Just look at this beautiful photo of the sunset viewer Doreen Lawrence captured.
And check out this picture our viewer Soshana took. That sunset's pretty gorgeous. Upload your photos and videos to the U Local New Mexico Facebook page. Now here's Joe with your statewide forecast.
All right, first of all, we do have the winter storm warnings and advisories tonight through tomorrow for blowing snow, difficult travel. The winter storm warnings where the heaviest snow will be around Chama and the mountains around Durango. Then in the town of Durango, these winter weather advisories kick in for lesser amounts of snow, continuing to Los Alamos, on into Cuba, and areas around Red River and Angel Fire. But for Albuquerque, Farmington, areas in the yellow, wind advisories from the morning, afternoon, early evening, 50 mile per hour wind gusts up to 65 miles an hour, and these high wind warnings from Camado, the East Mountains, out toward Tucumcari, Roswell, down into the Guadalupe Mountains of Eddy County. Be safe, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Coming up next on 7, we continue to follow the avalanche at Taoski Valley today. We have more coverage tonight at 6.
But first on World News Tonight with David Muir, a frantic 911 call was released in the death of a University of California student. What led up to his death? That's next on World News Tonight, followed by an all-new Action 7 News live at 6.
Thank you for watching.